Okay, so this is for Aaron's assignment, and we're starting off with rules for rugby. So as you can see, so the first rule that we're going to go over is the offside rule. Now, the offside in rugby is, well, the basic principle: if the ball is in open play, the teammates of the ball carrier must not be in front of him. If this happens, it can be called offside or obstruction. If the ball is in the ruck, then the player has to be behind the back foot, as is normally said. So here we do have an example of a player being offside. So as the ball goes down into the ruck, you can see the number 1 here is not behind the back foot, which is the back hind player leg. He needs to be behind that, otherwise he is deemed as offside. Let's mute that. So if we play it back, ball goes down, so the back foot is just here, and he's just beyond there at number 1 there, so that is offside. And that is basically the offside rule. So the next rule is forward passing. So obviously in rugby, passes have to go backwards or neutral. They can't in any way, shape or manner go forwards unless it's a kick, but even then the player has to be behind the kicker when they run onto the ball, otherwise it will be a penalty to the other team. So forward pass, here is an example. So as you can see, the man does run from behind, but the direction of the ball is still going forwards. So according to all rules, that is still a forward pass. So we'll show you again here. So even though he is in front of the man, you can see that the direction of the ball is still in a forwards motion, as you can see just here. So that still counts as a forward pass. And if that happens in a game, it will result in a turnover, the other team having the ball. And yeah. Okay, so the next one is a handoff. So basically a handoff is just to fend off the opponent when you've got the ball. If you're carrying the ball and you want to try and get away from the opponent, it's a way of keeping them away from you. It does have to be done a very strict technique, otherwise there can be severe penalties such as red cards, yellow cards, depending on how severe the offence is if it's done wrong. But I'll play you some good examples of legal handoffs. So basically the arm has to extend into the player. It can't be a push. They have to put their hand into the player. Once they touch the player, then you push away. It can't be a punch in any way, shape or form. Your palm has to be open. It can't be closed, otherwise it's a punch and you will get a red card. So as you can see there, great example. His arm is pushed into the player, so it's not extended. Once it actually makes contact with the player, push forward, and then that's legal. You can't push the player. You have to do it like that, otherwise you will lose the ball, get sent off. Depends on how severe it is. So yeah. So now moving on to regulations. So the first is the amount of players. So obviously you need 15 players on either side. So here you're starting 15. So you've got 1, 2 and 3. So 2 hooker, 1 and 3 are the props. So they're the front row in the forwards. 4 and 5 are the second rows in the forwards. 6, 8 and 7 back row. Then you've got back line. 9 scrum half, 10 fly half, 12 inside centre, 11 your blindside winger, 13 outside centre, 15 fullback, and 14 is your open side winger. Now you do need to have 15 aside to start in any sort of league game. However, if it's mutually agreed on before the game, if there's a lack of players, something like that, you can ask to reduce it to 12 versus 12. But if it is a league game, and a team do turn up with a lack of players, the other team don't have to sacrifice the players. They can literally play 15 versus however many there are if it's a league game, because that's how the league works. So next one is the next rule. Regulation is points awarded. So with your try and conversion, you get 5 points for them, and an extra 2 points if you score the conversion. So obviously the try, kicks it forward legally, runs onto it and grounds it, doesn't drop it. So that here gets you to 5 points. After you've scored your 5 points for the try, you'll then have a conversion, which is a kick, an opportunity to get you an extra 2 points, and that will get you the total 7 points. So it does show you him taking the conversion here. Well, we'll skip. See if we can find it. There we go. So he's put the ball down in line with where the try was scored and kicks it through the posts. The other players are allowed to charge it, but they're not allowed to make any noise, and if they do, the referee will just give the 2 points. Also, points awarded can be for a penalty try. So if there's any sort of foul play that stops the try from being directly happening, basically, if it's definitely a try scoring opportunity and a player commits a high tackle or something like that, the referee can award the 7 points straight away without the conversion even having to take place, and that will obviously result in disciplinaries for the other team as well. Yellow cards, red cards, again, it depends on how severe it is, but a penalty try can be awarded, which means they don't have to take the conversion and just get the 2 points for it. And then the game duration, the game is split up into 2 halves consisting of 40 minutes, and then a break of no longer than 10 minutes. It does depend again, so if it's a friendly, you can change it up a little bit. With league games, it's very strict, so you have to stick to that. And then also, if it does exceed 40 minutes and a half, the game will carry on until there's a knock-on or mistake or something like that, or the ball is taken out into touch. The game will carry on for however long.